One method that managers will use to help estimate the cost behavior is called the high-low method. And so we're going to look at that today, and that will help us determine the components of mixed cost by separating those into the fixed cost and the variable cost. So we have 4 steps that we use in the high-low method. So I've given you the 4 steps here, and I'm going to give you some examples, and we're going to work through that. So step 1. The first step would be to look at the given set of data, as you see in the chart here, and we're going to choose the high point activity and the low point activity. So as you see, I've given you the months of April through August. You see this column is the utilities cost, and then the last column is machine hours. And so machine hours is going to be the activity that we're going to use. So what we'll do here is we're going to look for the month with the highest machine hours and the month with the lowest. So once we look at this information, we see that August has the highest machine hours at 930 machine hours, and June has the lowest with 540 machine hours. So what we'll do is we're going to take the data associated with the high point and the low point. So we'll keep the cost at the high point, 8,650, and then we're going to use the cost at the low point, 5,870. So that was step 1, choosing high and low. Then we look at step 2. It says once that you've selected high-low, then we're going to calculate the variable rate. And so here's the formula that we'll use for the variable rate. The variable rate equals the high point cost minus the low point cost divided by the high point output minus the low point output. So this is the formula, and we're going to plug the numbers into the formula and calculate the variable rate. So when we look at our chart, again, we are going to use the associated cost with the high point, which is 8,650, and we're going to use the associated cost with the low point, which is 5,870. And then we're going to divide that by the high point activity, which is 930 machine hours, minus the low point activity, which is 540 machine hours. And then once we do the math, we can determine that the top part of this formula is 2,780 and the bottom is 390 machine hours. And so we'll divide 2,780 minus 390 machine hours, and that gives us a variable rate of $7.13. And since we said that machine hours would be the activity, so we'll use that and multiply that 713 variable rate times the number of machine hours, and that will give us an idea of the variable cost. For step 3, we now need to calculate the fixed cost. So we've already calculated variable cost, and we're going to use that as well in our formula to help us calculate fixed cost. So here's that formula for fixed cost. It equals the total cost at the high point minus that variable rate times the output at the high point. Or you can use the low point information, high or low, either way. But if we use the low point cost, we need to use the low point output. I generally would just use the high point cost and the high point output, but you can do it both ways and it will calculate to be the same. So let's say we're using the high point from our data and we're filling in this formula. So our fixed cost equals the total cost at high point, which was 8,650, minus the variable rate that we just calculated, $7.13, times the high point activity, which was 930 machine hours. So then we multiply in our parentheses first, and we come up with $6,630.90. So we subtract the variable rate from the total cost, and that leaves the fixed cost portion at $2,019.10. So let's run our numbers and verify that is correct. So 8650 minus 6630.90. And that does give us $2,019.10. So what I like to do anytime I calculate a formula or a number using a formula, I like to go back and fill that in. So if we're saying that fixed cost is $2,019.10, and our variable rate, let's scroll up, was $7.13, then I can go back in and I can say my total cost equals my fixed cost plus my variable cost. So here's that formula, total cost, okay, equals, I don't know my total cost now, but I can plug it in from the numbers in the chart. So here's the fixed cost portion, the $2,019.10, plus the variable portion, which is the variable rate, times the number of machine hours. So let's fill in the number of machine hours here at the high point was 930 machine hours. Let's see that if when we calculate this, if it actually equals the total cost that we found in our formula or our chart at the top. So let's go in and let's calculate. Let's take the variable rate of $7.13 times 930 machine hours. That gives me $6,630.90. I'm going to add that to my fixed cost of $2,019.10, and that should equal the total cost at the high point. So let's scroll back up to the chart and verify that that is actually the amount that was in the chart. So let's pull this back up, and we calculated $8,650 total cost at the high point. And if we look in our chart, that is indeed the correct number. So that's one way you can go back and verify and check your numbers to make sure it is correct. So this is just an overview of the high-low method and how it would be used and how you calculate the different components.